Tonight, the US president drops an F-bomb. Did Donald Trump's expletive-laden social media post work? As reports emerge of a 45-day ceasefire in the Middle East. Demand for petrol surges across the country. The government attempts to quell concerns, confirming it has shored up supplies for weeks to come. But still, some Sydney servos are running dry. They are the kings of the NBL, but are there enough courts for young Sydney-siders to emulate their success? We look at basketball's growing pains. The Artemis mission marches on. We are now just hours away from seeing the dark side of the moon. Crazy scenes at Sydney Airport. Iraqi football fans out in force to give a hero's welcome to Graham Arnold. And returning from rugby league exile, Victor Radley set to bolster the Chooks pack after the club slashed the Stars' 10-game ban.
This is 10 News Sydney with Sandra Sully.
Good evening. His political opponents are calling it utterly unhinged. Donald Trump's latest foul-mouthed rant, threatening to again blow up civilian infrastructure in Iran, has caused new alarm about the direction of the war. Diplomats are now furiously working to get a 45-day ceasefire deal over the line as the US military counts the cost of its miraculous rescue mission.
The smouldering wreckage of American military aircraft abandoned in the Iranian desert, blown up by US forces to stop them being used by the enemy.
It takes a year to build an aircraft. It takes 200 years to build a military tradition where you don't leave anybody behind.
Two C-130s, casualties of a miraculous rescue mission that saw a missing colonel saved 2 days after his fighter jet was shot out of the sky. A successful operation praised by the US president, who just hours later went ballistic, firing off a foul-mouthed rant on Truth Social. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it, he wrote. Open the straight, you crazy or you'll be living in hell. Just watch.
This is an express public incitement for war crimes and crimes against humanity.
Donald Trump signed off his post with praise be to Allah. The expletive-filled tirade shared on Easter Sunday in the US, criticised by political opponents, one calling the president insane.
This is outrageous behavior from this president.
And there's no amount of cursing or boasting or tough talk that will cover up for the fact that this president didn't have a rationale and he doesn't really have a plan.
The deadline for Iran to make a deal is Wednesday morning our time. As for what's on the table, it's being reported the US, Iran and regional mediators are discussing terms for a potential 45-day ceasefire that could lead to a permanent end to the war. Any hope of agreement, though, is slim, according to officials. The flashpoint remains the Strait of Hormuz, which the IRGC claims will never return to its former state, especially for America and Israel. Despite his demands to open it, days ago Donald Trump said the shipping gateway wasn't his problem.
We haven't needed it and we don't need it.
Some ships are able to use the strait, but they're staying close to the coast and vessel traffic remains limited.
Without reopening the Strait of Hormuz, this critical choke point, there is no way the president can frame this as a win.
For someone who prides himself on victory, it seems Donald Trump's war is not going to plan. John Paul Gonzo, 10 News.
The federal government claims fuel shipments have been secured well into next month. Petrol and diesel shortages at servos eased over Easter, despite a surge in demand. But there is a warning tonight that the pain at the pump could linger long after any end to the war.
Footy versus fuel. The road trip from Victoria to South Australia for Gather Round was non-negotiable for these fans.
If it would probably hit $4 a litre, it would have been out. But we managed.
We're going to keep on touring regardless until it all runs out.
As Canberra caravan parks clear out and Queenslanders bank up on the Bruce Highway in the Easter Monday traffic home. Fuel demand nationally over the long weekend was up 30% on last Easter, and yet
the number of service stations over Easter without diesel and petrol fell, which is quite something.
There are now 138 servos without unleaded, 274 without diesel around the country.
The Albanese Labor government's handling of this has been like a fecal Jackson Pollock.
The federal government now says fuel supplies have been locked in for the rest of this month and well into May, with legally binding contracts with Asian trading nations, which are also under pressure, plus the US and Mexico.
It's a difficult international environment, and there are risks to supply chains as long as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed.
That's 80 to 90% of Australian fuel, and so we're 80 to 90% vulnerable to what's happening there.
But even when it does open, the boss of Viva Energy, which owns one of Australia's 2 remaining oil refineries, cautions the recovery will have a long tail.
We've got to make sure that we get much more self-reliant when it comes to oil in this country.
This kind of self-reliance, though, is not recommended.
We just made fuel, man.
The federal government warning against the TikTok trend of brewing fuel in the backyard.
I just wouldn't be rushing to put anything that's not recommended by your car manufacturer into your car right now.
Chloe Boris, 10 News.
Well, let's get a check of the situation at the Bowsers across Sydney now. Hannah Stewart is live at Rozelle. Hannah, this crisis is still causing plenty of concern.
Sandra, there was certainly a sense of resignation among the drivers that we spoke to here today as the crisis drags on. According to the latest figures here in New South Wales, 39 petrol stations are without any kind of fuel. Meanwhile, 142 are without diesel, making up about 6% of servos around New South Wales. While that is an improvement on recent days, it's still higher than the rest of the country. The Federal Energy Minister, meanwhile, says the reason why New South Wales is being hit especially hard is because diesel is being prioritised for farmers who are right now in sowing and seeding season. The average price of diesel, meanwhile, is sitting at just above $2.98 a litre, while unleaded 91 is at $2.26, as the federal government's cut to the fuel excise continues to bring some relief for drivers. But they're certainly still feeling the pinch, Sandra, with many people returning home in New South Wales tonight after what was a much more expensive Easter weekend than usual.
Indeed, Hannah Stewart reporting there. Thank you. A P-plater is facing a dangerous driving charge after a police chase in the city's southeast. The pursuit starting just after midnight when 2 alleged street racers failed to stop at Botany. A BMW sedan sped off before crashing into a guardrail. Emergency teams descended on the M5 motorway with 2 18-year-olds, a passenger and a driver, taken to hospital. Meanwhile, a pedestrian has been struck by a van in the city's inner west. Fire and rescue working alongside police in Strathfield overnight to free the man in his 30s trapped under the vehicle. Paramedics treated him for chest and limb injuries before he was taken to hospital in a stable condition. The 48-year-old van driver delivered a negative roadside test as police worked to determine just what happened. And a disqualified driver has been accused of losing control and crashing into a fence at Greenacre. Police were called to the crash on Baronia Road just before 11 o'clock last night. It's alleged that the driver initially fled the scene before he was later tracked down by police. He has been refused bail and faces a number of charges, including speeding and drug possession. Astronauts on Artemis 2 are now just hours away from venturing deeper into space than any human has ever travelled. Final preparations are underway for their lunar flyby that will see the team of 4 reach the far side of the moon.
On a mission to go where literally no man has gone before.
You can definitely see the beginnings of the far side with Oriental and beyond Oriental a little bit. That is just awesome.
It'll be the first time in more than half a century that NASA astronauts will have viewed the moon's far side, too difficult to see for the crew on Apollo 13.
High-resolution cameras, a few different scientific bits of equipment that they're able to now use to image that far side of the moon like never before.
We want to know whether there's dust that might be held in that gravitational pull.
At about 4 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, Artemis will make history, reaching the farthest humans have ever travelled from Earth. Lunar observations will commence until about 9 a.m. when Mission Control will temporarily lose communication with the crew for 40 minutes.
We'll take a break, a breather, probably some good times to reflect, and we'll meet them on the other side.
They're probably going to be in a weird sort of period where it's very, very quiet from their end, but they've got their tasks to complete.
Today, contingency plans were finalised on spacesuits ahead of the lunar flyby.
If they had to spend extended time in those orange suits, how would they practice drinking their protein shake or delivering medication?
As to where they're travelling,
the far side of the moon is the other side to what we can see,
as opposed to the familiar dark side of the moon.
And there's that period where there's the shadow crossing over the moon during that 28-day cycle.
But while scientific, it's also a profound mission.
This is an opportunity for us to remember where we are, who we are, and that we are the same thing and that we got to get through this together.
Jessica Maggio, 10 News.
US sprint superstar Sha'Carri Richardson has taken out Australia's most prestigious foot race, becoming the third woman to win the stall Gift from Scratch. It wasn't quite the fairy tale for her partner, though, fellow American Christian Coleman, who didn't make it to the finals.
One of the fastest women on the planet proved just how good she is.
Running her down, it's so close, she's got up, she's come from the clouds.
From scratch, Sha'Carri Richardson caught the field and stormed home and straight into the arms of partner Christian Coleman. 26-year-old Olympic gold medalist from Texas, adding stall gift winner to her trophy cabinet.
I had a great time. Y'all fueled me. Y'all made this moment happen. So thank you.
Coleman, the fastest man over 60 metres, couldn't get it done over 120.
Christian's a long, long way back. Singleton slowing, and I reckon Woods has got him.
In the men's final, Adelaide's Olufemi Komalafi held off Jake Ireland.
Komalafi's a clear leader over Ireland, and he's done it.
The 21-year-old medical student did it in a time of 12.03 seconds.
Feels amazing, yeah. Such a big gift. I'm just ecstatic, honestly.
More than 10,000 on hand at Central Park.
We're watching my cousin. She's running in the main race today.
For many, the gift is a great Easter tradition.
We've probably seen about 36 out of 50 years.
Watch my uncle run, watch my grandfather run.
Others drawn here to see some of the swiftest athletes in the world.
The fastest woman in the world.
The US superstars' fan favourites.
Not much happens in Seoul other than this weekend, so...
It's the presence of Richardson and Coleman and the calibre of sprinting they both bring that organisers hope ushers in a new era when global athletes set their sights on what is one of Australia's most historic sporting events.
We might get Gout back. We might get Sha'Carri and Christian back. Who knows? But there's other runners out there that we would love to attract.
The true love and support for track and field, unbeatable.
Harvey Biggs, 10 News.
Let's get more from the day in sport now. Tara Rushton is here. And Tara, gorgeous scenes for the former Socceroos coach Graham Arnold, simply swamped at Sydney Airport last night.
He absolutely was, Sandra. There were hundreds of jovial Iraqi football fans who turned out to welcome home the coach of the national side after Arnie led the team to their first World Cup in 40 years.
A welcome home so loud it could burst your eardrums. There's no mistaking Iraqi Aussies' excitement as coach of Iraq's football team, Graham Arnold, arrived home in Sydney, swallowed by a sea of supporters. An incredible turn of events. Arnold was the Socceroos coach before being sacked and replaced. He's now booked his ticket to the World Cup through the most unlikely of routes, qualifying with Iraq for the first time in 4 decades.
I just want to apologise to everyone in Iraq that I couldn't go back there to celebrate because Obviously, the airspace shut down, everything's shut. But, you know, seeing this here is amazing.
Coming back here to Australia, we thought we were going to sneak in nice and quietly. Obviously not the case.
Escorted out of Sydney, he's now the first Australian-born coach to guide 2 different nations to the World Cup, and it's music to 46 million Iraqis' ears.
They breathe, they eat, they sleep football. It means everything to them. And this is the only source of happiness we have in our country.
He is now as a national hero for us now, Mr. Graham Arnold. So we come here, all our members from the consular and the Iraqi community, to say thank you, Mr. Arnold, thank you, Mr. Graham.
Olivia Blunden, 10 News.
And also coming up in sport, the Roosters react as Victor Radley is back for this weekend's clash against the Sharks, and he's not the only boost to the pen. There's a new king of the castle. Kendrick Davis continues Sydney's title celebration. So what is next for the MVP? And waving balls bye-bye, this Aussie star went berserk with a 25-ball blitz in the Indian Premier League. We'll have all of the reaction a little later in sport, Sandra.
There's lots coming up. We look forward to it. Thanks, Tara. Still to come, we have the hunt for thieves with rather expensive tastes. A Hermes store targeted in a brazen smash and grab. Basketball's growing pains, why thousands of kids are missing out on the opportunity to take to the court. And a plea for peace. The Pope delivers his first Easter message in a world in conflict.